Hello, and welcome to another episode of Alan's Card Game Den. This is a show where we discuss card games, primarily trading card games, from a perspective of someone who is primarily a collector and a very casual player. So, don't expect deep analyses of games, but rather a general overview of a game, its gameplay, and the products that are or were available for it. Today, we're covering a card game system that brings together various fighting game properties, such as Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. Take control of your favorite fighting character, and play attacks to whittle down your opponent's health until you've bested them. No, we're not talking about UFS. Today we're covering epic battles. Epic Battles was published in 2005 and 2006 by Score. There are two initial sets that were part of their Round 1 release, consisting of a set for Mortal Kombat and another set for Street Fighter. A third set, again featuring Mortal Kombat and called Premiere, was released in 2006, followed by a fourth set that was a Round 1 release for Tekken 5. A fifth set was cancelled before release, but would have featured Darkstalkers. The set naming for this game is actually rather confusing. The first set for a given property is called Round 1, while the second set for Mortal Kombat is called Premiere. These are, in fact, different sets, and Premiere is not the first set. The game had a two-player starter deck for the Mortal Kombat set. It also had one-player starter decks for all three Round 1 sets, as you can see here, as well as 10 card booster packs. It looks like the game was initially sold through Blockbuster before expanding to general game stores, and this probably contributed to its demise. The game has 4 different card types. Each deck will have one character card, which represents the character you're playing as. This card starts the game in play and has some special abilities. Within the deck itself, you have 3 types of cards: attacks, blocks, and events. Attacks represent punches, kicks, and other types of attacks you perform on an opponent. Each is either a high or low attack, and has a type, such as a punch or projectile. They also often have another type they can combo into. Each also has a cost, an amount of damage, and may have an effect. Block cards are how you block attacks. Each has a cost and an effect, and blocks either a high or a low attack. Finally, event cards represent special things that can occur during a battle. These play face down, have a cost you must pay when you flip them up, and an effect. Each set had card templates that were highly customized for the set. I think it's a neat touch, although some templates do work better than others. Here are some examples of different character cards. Different attack cards. Different event cards. And different block cards. The game is played by 2 players, who each start with their characters in play. Each turn involves both players playing cards, although one player will be the aggressor and play first in each turn phase. The game is similar to the Dragon Ball Z card game, where a player's deck doubles as their life total. you must deplete your opponent's deck to win the game. During a turn, each player first draws 3 cards. They may then play event cards face down before attacking. During the attack phase, players alternate attack actions. Each action allows a player to play an attack card. If another card can link to the first one, it can also be played. And this forms a combo. This counts as a single action before the opponent gets a chance to attack themselves. Finally, players discard down to 3 cards, and the role of the aggressor switches to the other player. Card costs in this game are paid via an energy pile. Any attack card you play goes into the energy pile afterward. Cards in this pile can then be discarded to pay the costs of other cards. Blocks and events do not go into the energy pile after they're played. Also note that various cards and effects may key off of cards in the energy pile. For example, this Jin Kazama's Evil Intent attack card, which does more damage if you have a kick and a punch in your energy pile. When you play an attack card, your opponent may choose to play a block card to block the attack. As noted, every attack is either high or low, and every block card either blocks high or low attacks. Block cards may have effects other than just blocking an attack. If the attack is blocked, the opponent is still hurt, and the game calls this chipping. They discard cards from the top of their deck equal to the cost of the attack card. If the attack is not blocked, the opponent takes the full damage noted on the attack card. This is also taken as discards from the top of their deck. The attack might have other effects, including effects that only happen if the attack is not blocked. Afterward, the attack is complete. If you have another attack card in your hand that can link to the first attack, you can play it as part of the same action, letting you attack multiple times before your opponent gets to play any attacks. And that's pretty much the game. There are some minor effects, such as knockdown and launcher, which can trigger different abilities on cards, but they don't inherently do anything in the game. As noted, there are 2-player starter decks for the game, as well as 1-player starter decks. I unfortunately don't have a 2-player starter deck here to show, but they consist of 2 30-card decks with cards from both Mortal Kombat sets. One deck is themed around Scorpion, and one around Sub-Zero. Each deck contains cards from both the Round 1 and Premier sets for Mortal Kombat. The box also includes a playmat and a rulebook. The game counts the character card as being part of the deck, so that's 1 character and 29 other cards per deck for the 2 decks. A full deck is 1 character and 59 other cards, so these are half decks. There are also 1-player starter decks for the first 2 sets, Mortal Kombat Round 1 and Street Fighter Round 1. These decks have the same composition. Each set has 5 possible decks. For Mortal Kombat, that's Sub-Zero, Darius, Sindel, Baraka, or Bo Rai-Cho. For Street Fighter, that's Ryu, Ibuki, Alex, Dudley, or Sean. Each of these includes a 52-card deck, which is the character card, and 51 other cards, which is just shy of a legal 60-card deck. 30 of these cards are common across all starters in a set. For example, the Ryu and Alex deck will have 30 cards in common since they're both Street Fighter decks. The other 22 cards are specific to the character. You can find deck lists for most of these decks on my TCG website, The link is in the description. These boxes are blind boxes and don't indicate which character or deck you'll get. So all the Street Fighter boxes will look like this, featuring Ken on the front, which is funny because you can't actually get him in the box. And all the Mortal Kombat boxes will look like this and feature Sub-Zero on the front. These boxes also include a playmat and a rule sheet. The playmat is the same between the two sets and has a card checklist on the back. This checklist covers both the Street Fighters and Mortal Kombat Round 1 sets. The rule sheet is on the back of a big poster. This poster is specific to the set and features either Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. We also have one-player starter decks for the Tekken 5 set, which is the 4th set released for the game. These decks have a slightly different composition from the other two. First, there's only 2 possible decks, and the decks feature either Jin Kazama or Nina Williams. And second, these are full 60-card decks, which is the character card plus 59 other cards. These decks are also fully customized and specific to the character, so the Jin Kazama deck contains entirely different cards from the Nina Williams deck. As before, you can find deck lists for both of these decks on my TCG website. These are also blind boxes and don't indicate which character or deck you'll get, and they include a playmat and a rulebook. As before, the playmat has a checklist on the back. This is the part where we analyze the rarity of cards in the deck, and what that does to pulling cards from booster packs from a collector standpoint. For the Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter starter decks, this isn't great. Since each deck includes 2 rare cards, and actually includes 2 or 3 copies of those 2 rare cards, you're really spoiling the thrill and usefulness of pulling those same rare cards from booster packs. The fact that the boxes are blind packed makes this problem worse. If you were trying to collect all 5 starter decks in a set, 10 across the 2 sets, you'd have to buy an average of 12 decks from that set, or 24 across both sets. This would really spoil the rares included in those decks. You're actually limited to 4 copies of a card per deck, so it's not the worst. And the fact that all the cards seem to also be available in booster packs also helps, because you can buy booster packs instead of just trying to collect all 5 starter decks. So overall, it's not the worst situation from a rarity standpoint, but it's not amazing. The Tekken 5 starter decks are much better. The box actually claims that the included rare cards can only be found in the starter decks. If this is true, it means you won't spoil any rare card pulls from booster packs. The fact that there are only 2 different starter decks also helps, because it should be very quick to acquire both. So I actually really like this composition. You'll want both decks for the exclusive cards, but it shouldn't take too many purchases to get both of them. And then booster packs will always have new rare cards. So my thoughts on the game. I think this is a game that does some interesting things. Conceptually, the idea of rapidly throwing kicks and punches back and forth feels very thematic for its fighting game theme. And damage from the deck is an idea that's been used in multiple other games, so it's fine. However, I think the game is ultimately hampered by both the defend mechanic and the energy mechanic, both of which I find way too subject to deck screw. You gain energy by successfully attacking, but not defending. So bad draw luck can mean you're just utterly screwed with attacks, as you need to be able to play zero-cost attacks to be able to play larger attacks or potentially even to play block cards. While this makes thematic sense, you're chaining a bunch of punches or kicks together into a bigger move, it doesn't work as well with a deck of cards where you don't have an open choice of what attacks to use. The attacks also scale drastically with energy cost, with a 4 energy attack doing 20 damage, which is an entire third of your opponent's deck, which means drawing attacks in the right order is extremely critical. Speaking of defending, block cards can only block a high or low attack and are not usable for anything else. As the 4 energy attacks are a block or die scenario thanks to the ridiculous scaling, this means that luck of the draw is, again, even more important than usual. If your opponent can unleash a 4 energy attack on turn 2 or even on turn 1, you better hope you have a block, and it's the right one for either the high or the low attack. The drawing of 3 cards a turn helps with this a little, but it's still extremely luck-based. Starter decks also vary drastically in the number of block cards they include. So the Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat decks have 14 out of 51 cards as block cards, but only 9 out of 59 in the Tekken deck are block cards, which just says they don't really have an idea of what a good deck composition is or an appropriate number of blocks might be. Additionally, damage comes from the deck, which can really screw you out of the cards you need, such as those 4 energy attacks or block cards. And again, 3 card draws a turn. This also quickly drains your deck. The combination of all of these things makes it feel like you're fighting your deck more than the opponent, with the right card at the right time mattering far more in this game than others. It really feels like this game wanted to emulate exchanging punches and kicks until you can unleash a big attack, but the hand size and the energy mechanics just provide too much screw, as well as sometimes shorter combat exchanges, which just kind of spoils that feeling. Incidentally, the damage on cards is almost always exactly based on the energy. So despite this being a space that could have really played around in, 0 energy attacks do 2 damage, 1 energy does 4, 2 energy does 10, and 4 energy does 20 almost all the time. And that just feels kind of lazy. They did slightly more with it in the Tekken set, but it still very much follows this pattern. I also want to note, the game just isn't physically produced very well. I encountered several starter decks that had incorrect cards, such as replacing a neck breaker with a backbend, which made the deck illegal because it had 5 backbend cards. The cards are almost always inserted rather haphazardly into the packs, with certain cards being upside down relative to the rest of the deck. And the cards themselves also just are thin and cheap feeling. This doesn't impact gameplay, of course, assuming you don't care about the starter decks being illegal, but it adds to the feeling that the game just isn't good. One positive, though, is that the game plays really quickly. So maybe if you treat this as a more casual side game rather than a main event game, it could be fine. It's also difficult to talk about this game without talking about UFS. And UFS overall, I think, is just a better game. Its energy mechanic is much more satisfying, which is the foundations plus control checks, which give a push your luck mechanic, but one that you can control. And the ability for just about any card to be used as a block, and the wrong block zone resulting in half damage, just means that there's going to be far less deck screw around blocking attacks. Depleting health rather than the deck, as in epic battles, also means the damage isn't potentially screwing you out of critical cards, and you largely control your own deck's depletion via control checks. Plus the fact that, of course, an individual card feels more flexible in UFS than epic battles, so losing a given card usually isn't as important. Momentum in UFS also feels like a better chain mechanism than linking, but All that said, I do think Epic Battles is easier to learn than UFS. There's fewer things on the cards, there's less back and forth during a single attack, there's just generally a lot less information to remember, which makes the game more accessible. But ultimately, I don't think that trade-off is worthwhile. So this game is very much a pass for me.